Yesterday, I was very excited when I signed up for my first online race in Le Mans Ultimate, but that excitement turned to panic very quick when I realized that I had never driven the track. Here we are in Portugal. We start the practice session, and again, I have never driven this track. I think I'm pronouncing it right, Portimao. Soon after starting, I realized just how tough this was actually going to be. This first lap, I was just trying to take it pretty easy, go slow and learn. But as you can see, I am failing at that quite miserably. I run a few practice laps, and yes, I got used to the sound of locking the brakes pretty quickly. That became the theme of this session. Not a lot of people recorded lap times, but as you can see, mine was 33 seconds off. And this is the point where I began to panic. If you look at the chat windows, there was someone going at it with someone else that crashed into them. And I pretty much thought that this was going to be my fate. So this is where I start trying to exit the session, trying to figure out how do I deregister from the event. But as I look around, I exit the menu, actually go back to the main menu. I realized that there was no option to unregister, and yeah, the panic starts setting in. But at this point, I decide, you know what, we might as well go forward with it and just try our best not to crash the field. So I didn't leave myself with much time for qualifying. I think there was only 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, so I only really had time to get around the track once and get one lap in. And I am honestly surprised that I didn't get a violation for leaving the track, but I guess I lost so much time that the lap time still counted. So we make it around fairly decently, nothing crazy. We managed to complete the lap and get a minute 49. Not great, but not horrible, but we ended up qualifying P10. And I think the field was about 18 cars, but I don't know if everyone actually made it into the event. There's no time for panic at this point. The race is about to begin, and our objective is basically to finish the race as clean as possible, minimum, but not crash into anyone else, pretty much. So the lap starts, and I already knew that this was going to be chaos. I realized that I started in second gear, so that was one mistake off of the bat. So I didn't really get a great start, but maybe that was a saving grace because it prevented me from hitting someone else. But as you'll see, there was no avoiding what was going to happen next. Despite my efforts to have a clean start, the rough start managed to find me. Again, we had trouble getting going. All right, at this point, there's only one car behind me. I think it was 14th position. So again, I think 4 cars didn't make it to the start, but we try to establish some sort of consistency here. Most of my overtakes happen to be off of the mistakes of other people, and most of the passes that happened to me happened right around mistakes of my own. So this was one of the first times I had been overtaken. I honestly decided I wasn't going to fight the field. If someone had higher pace than me, I wasn't going to put up too much of a fight. Again, just trying to get around the track as clean as possible, one that I'm not really familiar with. So I decided to really just take it easy. And one of the things, whenever someone did pass me, I tried to watch their lines and study their braking points just to learn from that. Here we pass, I think position 13, made it up to 12th. I guess someone just spun out there, and we continue going forward. And another one, position 11. So we made it up to the 11th position at this point. And again, just try to get some fairly decent laps and see if we can make our way up through the field, or at least, minimize any damage that happens next. I struggle with this final sector quite a bit. I think I left a lot of speed on the table, just being uncertain not to get the back end loose. But that's one thing that I will most likely practice on later. Someone had a bit of a bad accident. It looks like they lost their rear wing, and he was confusing the heck out of me with the weaving. I guess he had suspension damage, but it was confusing the heck out of me on which position he was going to go. And another spin. This looks like it was 14th position though, so that doesn't change our grid position. He was on the back of the grid, and I think he struggled quite a bit throughout this session. So we're in 10th position now, and we are coming under pressure from the guy behind me in 11th. And I begin to realize just how much that pressure can cause mistakes. And I was so focused on him that I was missing my line. So again, we were overtaken, and I didn't fight it. I just decided to study his lap just a bit if I could, but not too long after, he kind of started disappearing off into the wind. one thing I realized about my driving is once I get some temperature in the tires, I began to get a little bit more consistent. But with this race being the first time I was at this track again, that consistency was kind of lacking. There's that 14th position car again. He's just struggling. I guess maybe he had some bad damage, but he still stuck with it, kept going. So we are with another yellow flag, another position gain with someone else's mistake. So I will take those as much as I can. 10 minutes to go. This was a 30-minute race. I don't know if I mentioned that at the start. So P9 made a mistake up here, and I got a little bit close to him. And for a brief moment, I started thinking, maybe I can close the gap on this guy. But as soon as I did, I fumbled and spun the car around. Get restarted and get going, and I realized that P1 is approaching and the nerves start kicking in again. I was so obsessed, or not obsessed, but nervous about not interfering with anyone else's race, especially P1, that I ran wide. But maybe that was a good thing because I was already out the track and he was able to get by pretty cleanly. So I'm a little bit shuffled because of that and run wide again. I can't remember which turn that is. So I'm trying to collect myself and again start putting in some clean laps. And this is where I realized that my camera turned off with 5 minutes to go in the race. Not a big deal. For a moment I was starting to fumble with that a little bit, try to turn it back on. P9, looks like P9 made another mistake and we were able to get our final overtake during the race. And at this point, I'm just thinking, all right, let's just try to get some decent laps in, minimize mistakes, and at least maintain the position that I have. There's not likely a chance that I'm going to catch up with anyone else at this point, so I've kind of accepted that. Final lap, I'm not really nervous at this point. It's just one lap to go, but I did have my final runoff that's become the theme of this race, and that with that runoff, I was overtaken by P2, but again, I had the blue flag, so I need to let him by anyway. Final corner of the race, and I'm a bit relieved that I have somehow managed to survive the whole thing. P9 out of I think 14 on track, not the best but not horrible. At the end of the race I was actually kind of proud of finishing in that position. I did manage to get my camera turned on as well. That was rough. So there we have it, 9th position. Despite how much of a struggle it was, I probably would have quit the lobby if I could, but I couldn't, so we stuck with it and finished 9th. Clean race. Overall, great result for my first race, and I am absolutely looking forward to the next one. So I will see you guys on the next one.